Alright, now it's time for us to do the last little bit of pinning that we need to do. We are going to mark or demark somehow the 6 inches from the yoke down the sleeve, and we're going to have to stitch that. And the 6 inches is what the pattern calls for and what the regulations call for. So again, I use this just small 6-inch ruler, so it's just perfect. I put it right here up against the seam where the yoke and the fabric from the body, and here in this case the sleeve, match. And I have secured this temporarily with a pin right there. And I just take it and measure my 6 inches, and I'm trying to do this so that I can demonstrate to you where that is. Right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pin that. I'm actually working at this a little bit backwards today. So let's put that pin there for right now. Let me show you how that looks. I'm going to do this right. Okay, so the last thing that we need to do is we need to pin or mark somehow where we're going to do the 6 inches of stitching right along from the bottom of the yoke, the shoulder seam, and then down, which would be down the arm, and that really just secures the sleeve so that it hangs nicely and lays over our Bethel daughter's arms. So I take my 6-inch ruler that I used before, and I tuck that right into the seam right there, and then I come down and I mark it, and what I do with this is I just go ahead and I put a pin right there because I'm going to start on that edge. When I stitch, I'll start here and I'll work my way back up. Now you can see perhaps that here I've got this seam, that's the hem of the robe, and it's showing just a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and just move that in. I want there to be just a nice even flow with that. So I can just pull it a little bit tight. And I'm going to secure it this way. So we're going to go to our sewing machine next, and we're going to start right here stitching. And I start on this edge rather than starting here because there's all this bulk here from putting the body of the gown and the yoke together, and so I want to actually end there. And when I end there, when I stitch here to here, I've got that seam pushed up so I'm not catching it on it. It will actually lay down over it, but I don't want to have to sew through it because it's too thick and it's really tough for the sewing machine. So now I'm going to go stitch from here to here, this 6 inches. The other thing that you will want to do is either with your machine or by hand tacking, you want to stitch a couple of stitches along the hem right here. I tend to do this with just by hand stitching it, but then that will secure both sides, and so it will lay flat and you won't have it being tugged around. So there you go.